Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to tackle something that weighs incredibly heavily on the minds of millions, but honestly, it's rarely discussed with the total raw honesty it really deserves. We're talking about taking debt, which can feel like this massive, life-limiting trap, and transforming it into a zero balance. And look, this isn't just about moving some numbers around on a spreadsheet. It's about fundamentally taking back control of your life, your choices, and your future. Let's get right into it.
I want you to picture this for a second. You're sitting on your bathroom floor, it's 11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday, and you're agonizing over whether you can actually afford a $300 to $800 check engine light repair. Why? Because you're already dragging around a $4,600 credit card balance at a totally punishing 24% APR. For our source, this debt wasn't just some background noise anymore, it had literally brought them to their knees on a cold tile floor at midnight.
And it all came down to $90. That is the terrifyingly thin margin between this person and total financial catastrophe. They had a decent $3,400 monthly take-home pay, right? But after basic living expenses and $862 in mandatory debt minimums, they were left with just $90 of breathing room every single month. Literally one basic car repair, and the whole system completely collapses.
Section 1. The hidden cost of debt.
Because listen, debt doesn't just cost you money, it costs you your options, and it costs you your peace of mind. There are 5 massive, life-changing transformations waiting for you on the other side of a zero balance. First up, restored sleep. A 2025 Journal of Financial Planning study actually found that people with consumer debt experience clinically significant sleep disturbance at almost twice the rate of people without it. Second, expanded risk tolerance. Just look at Denise in Phoenix. She paid off $31,000, and the very first thing she did was quit a job she had absolutely hated for 4 years. The debt had basically been holding her hostage. Third, a rewritten identity. You finally stop telling yourself that you're just bad with money. And finally, healthier relationships. I mean, did you know financial problems are the 3rd leading cause of divorce? Paying off debt gives you back the emotional bandwidth to actually be present with the people you love.
But actually, hold on. Let's pause on that 4th transformation for a second. Recovered future wealth. Understanding opportunity cost is everything here. Say you have an average $6,500 credit card balance at 22.4% APR, and you only pay the minimums. It takes roughly 18 years to pay that off, and you pay about $15,500 total. But it is so much worse than that. That $9,000 in pure interest you just handed over, if you had invested that at an 8% return over those same 18 years, it would have grown to around $32,000. So the true cost of that one single credit card balance isn't $15,500, it's a staggering $47,500. You are quite literally paying for past purchases with your future.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 2. Building your payoff system. Total U.S. household debt just hit an unbelievable $18.88 trillion. It's a national emergency hiding in plain sight. But to break free from it, we need a hyper-tactical approach. This is the overarching, proven 4-step methodology to actually achieve that zero balance. It starts with taking an exact inventory, finding hidden money in your budget, picking a payoff method that fits how your brain works, and finally, weaponizing automation, so you don't even have to rely on willpower. It's pragmatic, and more importantly, it works.
Step 1, we gotta map the monster. Here's a highly realistic look at the average American debt profile heading into 2026, totaling $59,300. You basically need to sit down for 30 deeply uncomfortable minutes and make this exact table for yourself. Account name, the exact balance, the APR, and your minimum payment. In our example here, those minimums total $982 a month. Now, I know looking at the full number hurts at first, but trust me, it is an entirely necessary step. And here's exactly why you have to do it. As our source so beautifully puts it, shapeless threats are terrifying. Measurable problems are solvable. The very second you write those numbers down on a piece of paper, the anxiety starts to drop because you can finally see the edges of the problem.
All right, step 2 is finding the extra money to go on the attack. We need to turn that $982 minimum payment into $1,282 of absolute firepower. So, look at your last 3 months of bank statements. The average American spends about $219 a month on subscriptions they literally can't even name. Cancel 3 of them. Cut your food delivery from 3 times a week down to once. Brew coffee at home just 4 days a week. We are not talking about total deprivation or eating rice and beans forever here. We're just reassigning $300 a month away from corporations that don't even know your name and putting it right back into your own freedom.
Section 3. Snowball versus avalanche method.
So you've scraped together that extra $300. Where exactly do you aim it? Well, you've got two main choices. The debt snowball, which was popularized by Dave Ramsey, tells you to pay off the smallest balance first, totally ignoring the interest rate. It optimizes for dopamine and quick psychological wins, which, by the way, Harvard Business Review research shows actually makes people significantly more likely to eliminate their debt entirely. On the flip side is the debt avalanche. This tells you to pay the highest APR first. It optimizes entirely for math and logical efficiency.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the final tally. A LendingTree study looked at the average American debt profile to see which method was actually better in the real world. The result? No way, right? Over an identical 57-month timeline, the mathematically superior avalanche method only saved a completely negligible $29 compared to the snowball method. Just $29. So listen, if you need those early wins to stay motivated, choose the snowball and do it with absolutely zero guilt.
Section 4. Payoff accelerators and guardrails. Once you pick your method, you need to radically accelerate your timeline with a few smart cheat codes. Pick up the phone, call your credit card companies, and ask for a lower APR. Surveys show this has a 76% success rate. Look into 0% balance transfers. Moving a $4,000 balance could easily net you $840 in pure interest savings. Treat any windfalls seriously. The average tax refund is $3,100, which can literally wipe out half an average credit card balance in a single day. Sell $500 worth of unused stuff on Facebook Marketplace. And hey, consider smart consolidation loans, but only if you absolutely commit to never running those credit cards back up again.
But look, speed is totally useless if you crash the car. You need guardrails. First, go open a high-yield savings account, paying around 4% APY, and park a $1,000 to $2,000 emergency buffer in there. This stops you from reaching for a credit card the second a medical copay pops up. Next, freeze or physically cut up your credit cards. I mean, you can't drain a bathtub while the faucet is still running, right? Finally, tell someone about your plan. Getting an accountability partner absolutely changes behavior. And print out a visual tracker for your fridge to keep activating those reward circuits in your brain.
Section 5. Reaching the zero balance. As you start putting this system into motion, you are inevitably going to hit what's known as motivation valley. It usually happens around month 6 or 8, where progress just feels so painfully slow. But you have to push through, because the math is on your side. Let's look at how the timeline actually plays out for that $59,300 debt profile, using the snowball method plus that extra $300 we found. Check this out. By month 7, your first credit card is gone. You roll that payment forward. By month 17, the second card is history. By month 28, the personal loan is done. You're now throwing massive, combined monthly payments at whatever's left. By month 42, the auto loan is eliminated, and by month 55, the student loan is completely wiped out. In roughly 4.5 years, you've created this unstoppable avalanche of rolled-over payments that just destroyed $59,300 of debt. And this brilliantly illustrates what I think is the real magic. You are now completely debt-free. But what happens to that $1,282 of monthly firepower you were using to kill the debt? If you redirect that exact same monthly amount into an 8% investment for 20 years, it turns into roughly $760,000 of wealth. Nearly $750,000. That is what was hiding behind your minimum payments all along.
You know, understanding this math, that is the true definition of financial literacy. It's deeply understanding what compound interest does for you or what it does to you. This knowledge breaks the loop. It turns the entire payoff journey from a grueling, exhausting question of daily motivation into an inevitable, undeniable mathematical truth. The math overwhelmingly favors getting to zero. Our source actually ends their story by describing a rainy Wednesday in November. They logged on and made their final $2,117 payment. And they didn't throw a huge party, they just sat there in their living room for 10 minutes, absorbing the incredible, profound silence of not owing anything to anyone for the very first time in their adult life. It's a kind of silence that changes how you sleep, how you walk into a room, and how you dream. So I'll leave you with this question. When you finally let the math do the work for you, what will you do with the profound silence of a zero balance?